Yes, YouTube, welcome back to KangBrosTV. This is just a second part to the review of the amazing test series that we've seen between Australia and India. This part of this section is going to be very much so focused on Australia. The first one was obviously talking about the brilliance of India, but I just wanted to do something on Australia as well, because I've heard a lot of stuff about out there at the moment about about Australia, how they were poor, and it was India beat a poor Australia side and things like that. Now there's a couple of things I wanted to kind of get straight, and I think that's which is we have to talk about, is the fact that Australia, they're not a poor side. That's a very, very strong Australian side. And that's an Australian side that battered New Zealand, by the way, when New Zealand came across. This is an Australian side that came to England and won the Ashes. This is an Australia side that is basically, at the moment, arguably the best team in the world. If I know New Zealand are top, but they've not played a series away from home. And this is an Australian side that's got some of the most fearsome bowlers in the world that have come up short against a very weak India side, if we're being brutally honest. Now, it's nothing to do with how poor they were, but tactically, they got things horribly wrong. They got things horribly wrong. Now, I think the buck will always fall at the captain, because he's the one that's in charge. He personally actually had a decent series with the bat, which is people thought he wasn't great or whatever, but he actually batted quite well in this series. But I think it goes a bit deeper than that. Now, India managed to bowl Australia out a lot in this series, and this is a weak India side. In the first test, India obviously got bowled out for 36, but they were very much so on top in that game. I think they bowled Australia out for less than 200 in the first dig, got a good score, and then got rolled. Now, that set the precedent for the whole series. Now, for me, that's when Australia's thought, you know what, we've got our foot on their throats. Now we are going to literally make them pay for the next 4 test matches. People believe they were going to win 4-0, and I believe that they did too. Now, I've got something written down here that Australia's highest score in this series was 369. They got bowled out 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. They got bowled out 7 times. And they only managed to pass 300 on 3 occasions in the series. That's where the problem lies. Nothing to do with the bowlers. That's where the problem lies. If you are playing at home, in your home conditions, on bouncy decks, lively decks, against a team that has typically come up short against pace and have folded, the batters need to bat teams out the game. Australia bowled India out. Australia bowled India for 36, but they have not posted a score significant enough to win the test match. Australia of old would bat it will bat teams out the game 500, 600, and they'll bat once, and they'll bowl teams out twice, or be chasing something around 40, 50 to 100 tops. This Australia side has lost this series for me when it comes to the bat. Steve Smith, world class, had a very, very quiet start to the series, finished brilliantly. Marnus Labuschagne has come in and been a revelation for Australian cricket. But other than that, Wade, poor. Paine's done okay. Burns, poor. Warner, when he come back in, poor. Harris, poor. Pukovsky's come in and looked decent. But you're looking at these players and you're saying, Travis Head, he's been a shambles in this series. Now, you can't look at this series and say, oh, it's the bowlers that let them down. The bowlers have bowled very well. But what India done differently, and this is what comes back to the point of Pujara, is those bowlers need rest. They need to rest. They need to get their energy levels back up. It's searing heat. They're coming in and bowling 140, 150 Ks, and they're expected to come in and bump people. That's where the game was won and lost. India took time out of the game. The commentators, which I thought, and I made a point about this previously, but the commentating was actually very frustrating. It was actually very biased. I know a lot of people talk about Mandraker being biased towards India, but the Australian commentators were. I just thought, honestly, I think that Howie. I'm not like him and Mark Waugh, who's a legend of the game, but they were slating Pujara for the way he bats. Now, he's taken time out of the game. He's set up a game for India to go and win. He's set up a series for India to go and win. Australian batsmen passed 300 on a handful of occasions. They've not batted time. They've not got a score post of 4, 5, 600, which an Australia team of old has done. Now, Smith, when he did get in, he punished India. There's no 2 ways about it. Labuschagne, batted well. No one set and stalled out to bat long for Australia. Cam Green, yes, he looks a very, very handy Test cricketer. Don't get me wrong, but you got to think you're asking him to do a massive job, because the other guys at top they're not producing the goods. So for me, it's the batting that's, you know, yes, the bowling, they failed to bowl India out, you know, for the last 2 test matches. Granted, you can turn around and say, yes, the bowlers, but you've got to then take it back to the captain, because some of the tactics were, and the field positionings were shambles. Shambles. Mitchell Starc, everyone's getting on Mitchell Starc. Mitchell Starc is still one of the best bowlers in the world, bar none. You don't want to be facing someone bowling left arm, swinging it, hooping it. When he wrapped Agarwal on the pads, that spell, everyone was like, oh my God, what an amazing spell, what an amazing spell. He's a class bowler. He got nicked through he got nicked through third slip about 3 or 4 times, and this is a phrase that I heard a lot about Australia and their captaincy and their tactics, that the horses bolted. They were chasing they were putting fielders when India were playing shots that would go there. That's not the signs of a good captain. Now Rahane did things differently. He was actually proactive, and he was like, right, okay, where can they score? Where can we nullify that? And where are we going to take our wickets? Paine was behind. His tactics were just poor. His field position were poor. He put a catcher in for Rahane, and he got caught on the 3rd time. If you had him in already, he'd been out. That situation doesn't even occur. The game's different. He kept poorly. No bones about, and it's easier for me to sit here and say this, but he is a brilliant wicketkeeper. Even his numbers in this test match, in this test series, he's taken a lot of catches and nicks. But the game against the SCG, those catches, the second one for me, he's got to take that, and the stumping was tough. But you'd expect a top keeper to take that stumping. Yes, it's ragged. Yes, it's jumped a little bit. I get that. But Pant had committed to that shot. He had almost swung his elbow and shoulders out. He still had time to. He could have collected that height and taken the stumping. So I think he'd had a poor series. Australia gonna have to bite the bullet. The only way they're gonna get past this, their team's fine. They're player for player. They're fine. The batters need to get some runs, and they will. But he's got to move on. Get Carey in, give him the gloves, and bite the social media bullet, and give Smith the captaincy. The only player that's going to play every game is him. Give him the captaincy. Just bite the bullet. You're gonna get flack. Whatever happens, just bite the bullet. Just do it and get him back in. He's going to captain the side, and you'll win more test matches. Get a better keeper in who can bat. He's also left-handed, so it changes it. So that gives him a bit more of a balance. So that's my thoughts on it. The other thing that I thought was just from Paine, which lost in the series for me, but it's his sentiment towards Cameron Green. Yes, you've picked Cameron Green. Yes, he hasn't got a wicket, but don't bowl him when you've got India on the ropes to think, okay, this would be a perfect time to get his first wicket. That is a sign of disrespect to your opposition. You disrespected them, and you've been made to pay the price. You bowled him because it was a sentiment. You should have bowled him when it was like, right, okay, we need to break a partnership here. Not when someone's relatively fresh to the crease, on the ball's still swinging. He's your 5th bowler. He's someone that's going to come in and just bowl overs to get you some respite. And bowl one side of the wicket. Don't try and bump people out. Bowl one side of the wicket and sit in. Didn't do that. But he bowled him for sentiment, and I think that was wrong. I think that was a mistake, and I think that is a big part of why they missed a lot of times. They had a lot of chances to kill this test series and test matches, and they didn't do that because I think it was sentiment. The other thing is Nathan Lyon. I'm a huge admirer of Nathan Lyon. I think he's a brilliant, brilliant bowler. I think he's an unbelievable career, and you can't deny that. But the field settings that he had in place on day 5 at the Gabba when India were chasing a score is beyond me. Now I know that the commentators made a point of it, but even I'm sat there and I'm thinking to myself, right, okay, get somebody in, get someone in front of his, get someone in his face, get someone in his face. As soon as you put someone in his face and Lyon bowls outside off stump, then natural variation takes the scores. Shubman Gill nicked off to a ball that will pitch outside off stump, and it didn't turn. Natural variation. That is what happens when you play. When you put someone in front of him. Yes, you've got people. You've got people in close. You've got a leg slip. You've got someone short on the leg side. You've got someone catching mid wicket. You've got someone. You've plugged the square leg. You've got him out for the. You've got him back because you want. Don't have him back. Don't have him back. Why would you have long on and long off back at that situation? You're winning. You've got runs on the board. If they want to play aerial shots, that's a risk. His argument is they're going to play those shots anyway. Well, see them do it then. But bring him up and see them do it. The guy in front. Silly mid on, silly mid off, silly point. They should have all been there. As soon as you put someone as a batsman, Pujara was getting to the pitch and playing, and he knew that if I open the face, I'm safe. I'm safe in here. And then if it turns, it's either going to do too much or it's going to hit me too high. So I don't have to play it. As soon as you start bringing that person in and you bowl outside off stump, one absolutely ragged, and they still didn't get someone in front. As soon as one rags, then you know that I can't go forward. I can't press forward because he's in the game here and the slip's in the game, and then but I have to go back. But as soon as you can go back, you're not pushing. They're automatically out the game. So you're actually looking for a bit of. You're literally looking to hit a crack. So you're not bowling. You're not trying to bowl somebody out. You're looking to hit a crack, which I thought was very negative. And that, yes, Lyon would have wanted that field, and I get that, I understand that. But from a captain's perspective, you've got to say, right, you've had your chance now. Now it's me. Now I will set this field, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to try this for a little while. So I think Lyon bowled very well. I think he didn't get the rewards he got. You've got to think 2 dropped, a couple of short leg, the stumping that come to mind straight away, and a couple of drop catches. So he didn't bowl poorly, but the press would love to say he was, he was poor. But the fielding, the captain's not helped him. I don't think he's helped him at all. The other thing that I thought was poor was the use of Stark. Everyone's now getting on Stark's back. Pat Cummins was unbelievable. Hazelwood is steady Eddie. And obviously he takes wickets, but he knows what you're going to get with him. Mitchell Stark, come around the wicket and just bowl bumpers. 6 over spells of bumpers. Now, he's a better bowler than that. Yes, you want to rough him up, but there's a way of doing that. Sustaining pressure. Why, come over the wicket. Left arm over, it's hard. It's tough for a right-handed batsman. If the ball's going across you, natural variation on a pitch that has got cracks in it. Yes, they're saying if you come around the wicket, it's going to hit a crack and it's going to deviate. That's fine. But that can't be your game plan all day. They're better bowlers than that. They are top class bowlers. So I think he's been used poorly. And the one thing that keeps coming back is the horse bolted. Doing things too late. Setting fields, putting fielders back once the ball's gone there. This is test match cricket. So for me, I think Tim Paine, obviously a fantastic cricketer. He's a brilliant wicketkeeper. There's no denying that. He's had a decent series. But you've got to think as an Australian team now, they've got to kick on. If they want to play in this Test Championship, that things have got to go their way. They've got to go to South Africa and batter them. Now, for me, you need a captain that's going to be ruthless. You need a ruthless captain. Yes, I understand they're going back. The ball tampering case happened and all that sort of stuff. But you have to go back there. But these are big boys now. They've gone through a lot of hardship to know that they struggled out there. I think it's easy to sit there and say the bowlers didn't bowl him out. They didn't bowl him out. I think the captain's got to take a lot of responsibility with that. The batters as well. Give the bowlers a chance to rest. Give them a chance to rest. That partnership between Sundar and Shardul Thakur. Sit in. Just sit in for a bit. They're not good enough to manipulate fields. But if you pitch it up, they will hit boundaries because there's no one out. They are straight makers. Okay, so we're going to go in out. We're going to have someone out so that for their best shot they get 1. So you can have 1 for your best shot. But what we're going to do is we're going to look to nick them off. When you bowl in if you bowl in a good enough area, you'll get these guys out. So arrogance was there. The final point I want to make about the Australian team is that don't get caught up in all this. Everyone watched the Amazon series, and everyone got so caught up in they're decent, whatever. Bully tactics. They tried bully tactics throughout this whole series. They tried the bumpers. Fair, that's all good. I don't mind that. But it's the chirp. Tim Paine, the stuff to Ashwin. It's like you haven't got Test 100. This guy's got 4 Test 100s. You don't have 1 Test 100, and you're talking about getting this guy to the Gabba. It's like come on, get a grip. Josh Hazelwood, he's bumped Pujara on the helmet and hit him flush on the face, and he's gone to him. Oh, well, you seen that, all right? Have you? He's jobbing him once he's pinned him in the lid. Now, I don't mind cricket being played tough, but you've got to take it the other way, and they can't. It's got to be like, okay, so we're happy to dish it out, but when it comes back to us, it's toys out the pram, which I think is pathetic. I think it's actually sad. It's like, yes, if you bump somebody, Pat Cummins, yes, you bumped him, you want to hit him, and you're going to carry on doing it. Everyone expects it, but it was the hand up. Josh Hazelwood's come out giving it the big one. Oh, have you seen that one? After everything that's happened, by the way, and they're talking about be good blokes. The abuse, they talk about no abuse, banter abuse. They love to give it out, but they can't take it. When it comes back the other way, then it's it's unacceptable. I can't believe this. Oh, that's wrong. You should be saying that sort of stuff. All the people are saying stuff about Steve Smith about when he was fudging the lines. I've got no problems with that. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I don't think it's cheating. I don't think it's anything like that. But I think it's just moron. I think it's just been a moron. But Justin Langer's quick to come out there and say, oh, everyone's bang out of order for saying this, they're bang out of order for saying that. But it's like, well, hold on a minute. At what point are you going to turn around and be like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's out of order? What was said was out of order. Do you know what I mean? It's just, bully tactics. You're trying to rough people up. You're trying to bowl bumpers. Yeah, I get all that. Then we'll get back to the Gabba. We're going to break a rib. It's like, great, because when someone says anything negative towards you lot, it's all like, oh my God, we're getting the massive defensive. So I think that team at the moment is still a brilliant side. They're still a team that's probably going to go away and absolutely batter South Africa because they're a team in transition as it is. But I think this series, they were miles off it. And I think it comes down to the captain. I think it's time to appreciate that he's done a great job to get them from where they were to where they are. But the time's up now for Tim Paine. Thank you very much. You were an interim. You've done very well. You're a caretaker. You've done very well. Now we go back to the big boys. And some of those batters have to step up and get big runs for them to come back. But they were beaten by the better team. It was a second, third string India side, and that is what Australia need to take on the chin. And they've been beaten at the Gabba, and yes, I believe they will come back stronger. But they were part of an unbelievable series, and it was an absolute pleasure to watch. I'm really keen to hear people's thoughts on my analysis of Australia and the way they were, and my thoughts. You know, time for Tim Paine to give it up. Do you think I'm being harsh? Do you think it is the bowlers that deserve I guess the criticism and not the batters? But yeah, I'm really keen to hear what people's thoughts are on this series. It was a brilliant series. So please don't forget to comment. I'm really looking forward to read those, and don't forget to like and share, and hopefully we'll be back for another analysis for the upcoming series for England and India, as well as prep for the Ashes as well. So look forward to it. Peace.